Vyacheslav Kirillovich Ivankov, born January 2, 1940 to October 9, 2009, was a notorious member of the Russian Mafia who was believed to have connections with Russian state intelligence organizations and their organized crime partners. He has operated in both the Soviet Union and the United States. His nickname, Yaponchik, translates from Russian as Little Japanese, due to his faintly mongoloid facial features. Ivankov was born in Georgia, when it was part of the Soviet Union, to Olga Gostisvets and Bernard Royal Ivankov. He grew up in Moscow. Ivankov was an amateur wrestler in his youth and served his first prison time for his participation in a bar fight, in which he claimed he was defending the honor of a woman. After his release, he began to move up in the criminal world, selling goods on the black market. Later, Ivankov became involved in gang activity. His gang used forged police documents to enter houses and then burglarize them. In 1974, in Butyrka prison, he was crowned I.E. awarded by Criminal Brotherhood the title of vory, zakone, thief in law. In 1982, authorities had finally caught up with him and he was arrested on firearms, forgery and drug trafficking charges. Though he was sentenced to 14 years, he was released in 1991, reportedly thanks to the intervention of a powerful politician and a bribed judge of the Russian Supreme Court. Ivankov arrived in the United States in March 1992, despite having served a prison sentence of around 10 years and a reputation as one of the fiercest and one of the most brutal criminals in Russia. Unlike the Cosa Nostra, where the boss gives out the orders, Ivankov used to go out and extort himself. He had arrived on a regular business visa stating that he would be working in the film industry. His reason for arriving in America was not initially clear. The Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs advised the FBI that Ivankov had come to manage and control Russian organized crime activities in this country, advice that the FBI took on board. However, Alexander Grant, editor for newspaper Novoye Ruskoye Slovo, said in 1994 Ivankov had left Russia because it was too dangerous for him there, since there are new criminal entrepreneurs who don't respect the likes of Yaponchik, and that he was not criminally active in the United States. However, soon Ivankov did become criminally active in the United States. The actual scope of his activities is unclear, since conflicting sources described his gang on Brighton Beach as around 100 members strong and being the premier Russian crime group in Brooklyn, to something on the scale of Lucky Luciano's nationwide Mafia commission many decades earlier. Ivankov was arrested by the FBI on June 8, 1995, charged with the extortion of $2.7 million from an investment advisory firm known as Summit, run by two Russian businessmen, and in June the next year he was convicted along with multiple co-defendants. At the time of his arrest, Ivankov was found to be in possession of thousands of dollars and many different passports under different names and countries. A .38 caliber revolver wrapped in a sock was determined by witnesses to have been thrown from the apartment in which Ivankov resided. During interviews in prison, Ivankov accused the FBI of inventing the myth of the Russian Mafia in order to prove the usefulness of their Russian division. He stated that Russia is one uninterrupted criminal swamp, the main criminals being the Kremlin and the FSB, and that anybody who thinks he is the leader of the so-called Russian Mafia is foolish. He was subsequently transferred from a jail in Brooklyn to the more secure MDC, Manhattan Detention Complex, in Manhattan, and then Otisville FCI. Ivankov was incarcerated with his cousin Eugene Slushier, who was also charged in the case. In prison he became an associate of Pavel Stanomarovic, son of Vyacheslav Stanomarovic. Ivanov, Slusker and Stanomarovic all used the services of attorney Robert S. Wolf. He was the first American lawyer to be allowed into Russian prisons in Siberia. On July 13, 2004, Ivankov was deported to Russia to face murder charges over two Turkish nationals who were shot in a Moscow restaurant following a heated argument in 1992. A third was seriously wounded in the alleged incident. The jury found him not guilty and he was acquitted the same day, on July 18, 2005. The witnesses, a police officer among them, claimed to have never have seen him in their lives. On July 28, 2009, at around 1920 Moscow time, 1620 GMT, Ivankov was shot while leaving a restaurant on Khoroshevskoye Road in Moscow. A sniper rifle was found abandoned in a nearby parked vehicle. Having died from his injuries 73 days later, on October 9, 2009, Ivankov was buried in Moscow on October 13, 2009. The funeral was well publicized, receiving widespread media attention in Russia and worldwide. In attendance were hundreds of gangsters representing criminal syndicates from around the former USSR, each sending their own tributes. One card at the funeral read from the Dagestani Bratva, another from the Kazakh Bratva, and one elaborate wreath came from Aslan Grandpa Hassan Yusoyan, who was not himself in attendance. It is suspected that the murder was carried out as part of an ongoing gang war between Yusoyan and Georgian crime boss Terry Aloniani, or Ivankov took Yusoyan's side. And the Rockstar-produced video game GTA for Vyacheslav was depicted as Vlad Glebov, the notorious crime boss of Russian descent.